The massive space station Meridian floated in the cold darkness between three star systems. Its silver walls reflected the light of distant suns as ships from dozens of different worlds docked at its many ports. Today was different from other days. Today, the most important meeting in galactic history would take place. Inside the Grand Conference Hall, representatives from across the galaxy had gathered. The room was enormous, with a dome-shaped ceiling that showed the stars above. Floating platforms held delegates from various alien races. Some had blue skin and 4 arms, others looked like walking trees, and some resembled giant insects with shining wings. At the center of the hall sat the most important platform. On it were 2 groups facing each other across a polished metal table. On one side sat the Valerian Empire delegates. They wore golden armor that gleamed under the hall's bright lights. Their leader was Emperor Vaxin, a tall being with silver skin and glowing purple eyes. Next to him sat his daughter, Princess Kira. Kira was only 19 years old, but she carried herself like she owned the entire galaxy. Her golden armor was covered with jewels that sparkled as she moved. Her long silver hair flowed down her back like liquid metal. She had never lost a battle, never faced real danger, and never met anyone who dared to challenge her people's power. The Valorians were known throughout the galaxy as the strongest military force. Their weapons could destroy planets, their ships moved faster than light itself, and their technology was far beyond what most races could imagine. For 300 years, they had conquered world after world, building an empire that stretched across half the known galaxy. On the other side of the table sat the human delegation. They looked very different from the Valorians. Their clothes were simple and dark. They carried no visible weapons and wore no armor except for one person. The humans had only recently discovered space travel. Most aliens saw them as weak, primitive creatures who had barely learned to leave their home world. The human ambassador was an older woman named Dr. Helen Cross. She had gray hair and kind eyes, but there was something strong about the way she sat and spoke. Next to her were several other humans in simple uniforms. They all looked calm, but Princess Kira could see the worry in their faces. The meeting was supposed to create peace between the Valerian Empire and the new human colonies. The humans had built settlements on 12 different worlds, and the Valorians wanted them gone. Emperor Vaxin claimed those worlds belonged to his empire by right of conquest. Humans, Emperor Vaxin said in a deep voice that echoed through the hall, you will remove your people from our territory. You have 30 standard days to evacuate all your colonies. This is not a request. Dr. Cross leaned forward. Emperor Vaxin, those worlds were empty when we found them. No one lived there. Our people have built cities, farms, and research stations. Millions of humans now call those places home. Princess Kira laughed. The sound was like breaking glass. Home, she said with a sneer. You primitive creatures think you can just take what you want. You do not even have real weapons or armor. Look at yourselves. She pointed at the humans around the table. Most of them wore simple clothes and had no protection at all. But then her eyes fell on the one human who was different. Standing behind Dr. Cross was a human soldier. The soldier was a young man named Leo. He looked to be in his 20s, with short brown hair and calm green eyes. Unlike the other humans, he wore what appeared to be armor. But it did not look like Valerian armor at all. Where their armor was golden and beautiful, his was gray and rough-looking. It seemed heavy and old-fashioned. The helmet covered most of his head but left his face visible. The chest piece was thick and blocky, not sleek like Valerian designs. His arms and legs were covered in what looked like simple metal plates. To Princess Kira, it looked like something a primitive blacksmith might make. And what is that supposed to be? Princess Kira said, pointing at Leo. Is that what humans call armor? It looks like scrap metal held together with hope. The other alien delegates began to whisper and laugh. Some pointed at Leo's armor and shook their heads. The Valerian soldiers around Princess Kira smiled behind their golden face masks. Leo said nothing. He stood perfectly still, his hands at his sides. His face showed no anger or embarrassment. He simply watched Princess Kira with those calm green eyes. I mean, seriously, Princess Kira continued, her voice getting louder. That armor looks like it weighs more than he does. How can he even move in that thing? And look at the surface. It is all scratched and dented. Does he pick fights with asteroids? More laughter echoed through the hall. Princess Kira was enjoying herself now. She had an audience, and they were all watching her humiliate the humans. You know what I think, she said, standing up from her chair. Her golden armor caught the light and threw sparkling reflections around the room. I think that armor is just for show. I think underneath all that metal, there is just another weak human who could not fight his way out of a paper container. Dr. Cross started to speak, but Princess Kira held up her hand. No, let me finish, the princess said. I want to make something clear to everyone here. The Valerian Empire has conquered half the galaxy because we are strong. We are fast. We are superior in every way. But humans? Humans are slow, weak creatures who hide behind scrap metal and hope no one notices how pathetic they really are. She walked around the table toward Leo. Her golden boots clicked on the metal floor with each step. The sound echoed in the now silent hall. Every delegate was watching to see what would happen. I challenge you, Princess Kira said, stopping right in front of Leo. Remove that ridiculous armor and face me in combat. Let everyone here see what humans are really made of. Leo looked at her for a long moment. His green eyes were still calm, but now there was something else in them. Something that made Princess Kira feel slightly uncomfortable, though she did not understand why. Princess, Dr. Cross said quickly, there is no need for violence. We are here to discuss peace, not fight battles. Peace? Princess Kira laughed again. How can there be peace between eagles and worms? How can there be peace between the strong and the weak? This human soldier proves my point. Look at him. He cannot even speak for himself. Leo finally spoke. His voice was quiet, but it carried clearly through the huge hall. I can speak for myself. Then do it, Princess Kira said. Tell everyone here that you accept my challenge. Take off that armor and show us what you are really made of. Leo was quiet for several seconds. Around the hall, aliens leaned forward to hear what he would say. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. You want me to remove my armor? Leo said finally. Yes, Princess Kira said. All of it. Let us see the real you. Leo nodded slowly. All right. Dr. Cross looked alarmed. Leo, you do not have to do this. It is okay, Dr. Cross, Leo said calmly. The princess wants to see what humans are made of. I think it is time she learned. Princess Kira smiled with satisfaction. This was going to be easier than she thought. The human was going to embarrass himself and his entire species in front of representatives from across the galaxy. After this, no one would ever take the humans seriously again. But, Leo continued, I want to explain something first. Explain what? Princess Kira asked. Why we wear armor, Leo said. You see, Your Highness, you think armor is about looking impressive. You think it is about showing off how strong and beautiful you are. But that is not why humans build armor. He began reaching for his helmet. His movements were slow and careful, like he was handling something very delicate. Humans do not build armor to prove we are superior, Leo said. We do not build it to frighten our enemies or to show off our wealth. His hands found the clasps that held his helmet in place. Princess Kira heard small mechanical sounds as the locks disengaged. We build armor, Leo continued, to protect what matters most to us. And sometimes, the most important thing to protect is not ourselves. He began to lift the helmet from his head. As he did, Princess Kira noticed something strange. The inside of the helmet was not empty space like she expected. It was filled with tiny lights and what looked like extremely complex technology. "You want me to take off my armor?" Leo said, his voice now coming clearly without the helmet's filters. "Fine. But I think you should know what you are asking for." As the helmet came completely free, Princess Kira saw Leo's face clearly for the first time. He was younger than she had thought, maybe only a few years older than herself. But his eyes held something she had never seen in anyone so young. They held the weight of real experience, real responsibility. And as she looked more closely at the helmet in his hands, she began to realize that what she had thought was crude, primitive armor might be something else entirely. Something that was about to change everything she thought she knew about humans. The hall remained completely silent as Leo set the helmet carefully on the table. Every alien delegate was staring at the complex technology that had been hidden inside what they all thought was a simple piece of metal. Princess Kira felt her confidence begin to waver for the first time in her life. What exactly had she just challenged this human to do? Princess Kira stared at the helmet sitting on the table. The technology inside it looked nothing like anything she had ever seen before. Tiny lights pulsed in patterns that seemed almost alive. Thin wires connected small devices that hummed quietly with power. The entire inside of the helmet looked like the control center of a starship compressed into a space barely larger than a human head. "What is that?" she asked, her voice much quieter than before. Leo looked down at his helmet, then back at her. "This is a neural coordination interface. It allows me to connect my mind directly to every human soldier within a 1,000-mile radius. When I wear this helmet, I can see through their eyes, hear through their ears, and coordinate their movements as if they were extensions of my own body." The hall erupted in whispers. The alien delegates had never heard of such technology. Even the Valorians, with all their advanced weapons and ships, fought as individuals. Their soldiers were strong and fast, but they could not share thoughts or coordinate perfectly across great distances. Emperor Vaxin leaned forward in his chair. "You are lying. No race has developed true neural networking." "We do not lie about our capabilities," Leo said calmly. "We simply do not advertise them." He reached for the chest piece of his armor. Princess Kira could see that it was held in place by what looked like simple latches. But as Leo began to open them, she heard the same soft mechanical sounds that had come from the helmet. "You called this armor crude and primitive," Leo said as he worked. "You said it looked like scrap metal. But you never asked why it looks that way." The chest piece came free with a soft hiss. Princess Kira gasped. The inside was not empty space for a human body. Instead, it contained what looked like a miniature sun. A small sphere of contained energy glowed with brilliant blue-white light. Around it, cooling systems and power distributors created a complex web of technology. "This is a fusion microreactor," Leo explained. "It produces enough energy to power a small city for a year. Every human soldier carries enough power to supply an entire Valerian military outpost." The alien delegates were no longer whispering. They sat in stunned silence, staring at the technology that had been hidden beneath what they thought was primitive armor. Princess Kira felt something cold settle in her stomach. "That is impossible. Fusion reactors require massive facilities. They cannot be made small enough for personal armor." "Valerian fusion reactors require massive facilities," Leo corrected her. "Human fusion reactors do not." He set the chest piece next to the helmet. The microreactor continued to glow, casting blue light across the polished table. Princess Kira could feel the heat radiating from it even from several feet away. "But why?" she asked. "Why hide this technology? Why make your armor look old and worn when you could make it beautiful like ours?" Leo began working on the arm pieces of his armor. "Because beautiful armor attracts attention. Beautiful armor tells your enemies exactly how dangerous you are. It warns them to prepare for battle. The arm pieces came free, revealing more impossible technology. Inside the left arm was a medical system more advanced than anything in Valerian hospitals. Tiny surgical robots nestled beside medicine dispensers and healing ray generators. The right arm contained manufacturing equipment that could produce complex tools and weapons from raw materials. You see, Leo continued, humans learned something long ago that other races seem to have forgotten. The most effective predator is the one that looks harmless until it strikes. Princess Kira was beginning to understand, and the understanding terrified her. You mean you deliberately make yourselves look weak? We make ourselves look unremarkable, Leo said. We have learned that when people think you are not a threat, they do not prepare to defend against you. They do not watch you carefully. They underestimate you. He moved to the leg pieces of his armor. As they came free, Princess Kira saw technology that made her mind reel. One leg contained environmental controls that could terraform an entire planet. The other held defensive systems that could create energy shields strong enough to stop Valerian battle cannons. This is why your empire has been so successful, Leo said. You show your strength. You display your weapons. You make sure everyone knows how powerful you are. This frightens weaker races into surrendering before fighting begins. Princess Kira nodded. That was exactly how the Valerian Empire operated. They arrived at new worlds with massive fleets and overwhelming displays of force. Most civilizations surrendered immediately rather than face destruction. But, Leo continued, this only works against races that are actually weaker than you are. He was now down to just the boots and gloves of his armor. Princess Kira could see that he was a normal-sized human without all the bulky equipment. He did not look particularly strong or fast. But the technology he had revealed made Valerian equipment look like children's toys. When you encounter a race that is actually stronger than you, Leo said, your strategy becomes a liability. You have warned them. You have given them time to prepare. You have shown them exactly what they need to defend against. The boots came off next. Inside them, Princess Kira saw mobility systems that could allow a human to run faster than Valerian vehicles. Jump jets that could launch a soldier into orbit. Gravitational manipulation devices that could let someone walk on walls or ceilings. Humans prefer a different approach, Leo said. We prefer to let our enemies think they are safe until the moment they are not. Finally, he reached for the gloves. These were the last pieces of his armor, and Princess Kira had a terrible feeling that they contained the most shocking technology of all. She was right. As the gloves came free, Leo held them up for everyone to see. They looked like simple metal gloves, scratched and dented like everything else. But when he opened them and showed the interior, Princess Kira felt her world shift beneath her feet. Inside the gloves were thousands of tiny robots, each no larger than a grain of sand. They moved in flowing patterns, like metallic liquid. As Princess Kira watched, some of them flowed out of the gloves and onto Leo's hands, covering his skin like a second layer. Terraforming nanobots, Leo said simply. Each glove contains enough robots to transform a dead world into a garden in less than a year. They can break down rock into soil, create atmosphere, establish ecosystems, build cities. He looked directly at Princess Kira. Or they can break down living tissue at the molecular level. They can disassemble any matter into its component atoms and rebuild it into something else. The silence in the hall was so complete that Princess Kira could hear her own heartbeat. Every alien delegate was staring at Leo's hands, where millions of microscopic robots waited for his commands. You asked me to take off my armor, Leo said. You wanted to see what humans are really made of. He spread his hands, showing the nanobots flowing across his skin like living metal. This is what we are made of. We are builders and destroyers. We are creators and warriors. We carry the power to make worlds or unmake them. Princess Kira finally understood the terrible truth. Humans had not hidden their technology because they were ashamed of it. They had hidden it because it was so advanced, so powerful, that revealing it would force other races to unite against them. But most importantly, Leo continued, we understand that true strength is not about what you can destroy. It is about what you choose not to destroy. He looked around the hall at all the assembled delegates. Every piece of technology one just showed you could be used as a weapon. The neural interface could control enemy minds. The fusion reactor could be turned into a bomb. The nanobots could dissolve entire armies. Princess Kira realized she was holding her breath. But we did not come here to threaten anyone, Leo said. We came here to ask for peace. We revealed our true capabilities not to frighten you, but to show you that we have the power to take what we want, and yet we choose to ask instead. He began walking around the table, moving closer to where Princess Kira stood frozen in shock. With each step, she could see the nanobots flowing across his skin, could feel the immense power that he carried within his seemingly ordinary human body. You mocked me for being weak, Leo said when he was standing directly in front of her. You challenged me to prove my strength. But Princess, the strongest person in any room is not the one who fights. It is the one who could win any fight, and chooses not to start one. Princess Kira looked into his calm green eyes and saw something that terrified her more than all the advanced technology he had revealed. She saw restraint. She saw someone who carried ultimate power and chose not to use it. I could have shown you human strength, Leo said quietly. I could have demonstrated what our technology can do. But that would have made me no different from your empire, using power to frighten others into submission. He turned away from her and began walking toward the exit of the conference hall. Instead, I choose to do something that requires much more strength than fighting. Princess Kira found her voice. What is that? Leo stopped at the doorway and looked back at her. I choose to walk away. And with that, he left the hall, leaving his armor scattered across the table like discarded shells. Princess Kira stared after him, her mind racing to understand everything that had just happened. The human soldier had not just taken off his armor. He had removed the disguise that kept the galaxy from realizing how truly dangerous humans were. And then he had chosen to walk away rather than use that power against her. For the first time in her 19 years of life, Princess Kira understood what real strength looked like. Princess Kira stood frozen in the conference hall, staring at the empty doorway where Leo had disappeared. Around her, the alien delegates sat in stunned silence, their eyes moving between the scattered pieces of human armor on the table and the doorway. The advanced technology that Leo had revealed continued to hum and glow, filling the hall with soft blue light from the fusion reactor and the flowing movements of nanobots. Emperor Vaxin was the first to speak. His voice was much quieter than usual. Daughter, what have you done? Princess Kira did not answer. She could not take her eyes off the doorway. Her mind was spinning, trying to process everything she had learned in the past few minutes. Everything she thought she knew about humans, about strength, about power itself had been turned upside down. Dr. Cross stood up slowly from her chair. Her face was pale, but her voice was steady. Emperor Vaxin, I think we need to postpone this meeting. There are clearly things we all need to discuss in private. No, Princess Kira said suddenly. She turned away from the doorway and looked at her father. No, we cannot postpone this. I need to understand. I need to find him. Without waiting for permission, she ran toward the exit. Her golden boots clicked rapidly on the metal floor as she hurried through the doorway and into the corridor beyond. The corridors of Station Meridian were wide and curved, following the circular shape of the massive structure. Soft lights in the walls provided gentle illumination, and large windows showed the stars outside. Princess Kira looked left and right, trying to figure out which direction Leo had gone. She saw him at the far end of the corridor, walking slowly toward the observation deck. Even without his armor, she could recognize his calm, steady pace. She ran after him, her heavy armor making the chase difficult. Wait, she called out. Please wait. Leo stopped and turned around. He looked completely different without his armor. He seemed smaller, younger, more ordinary. But Princess Kira now knew that appearances meant nothing when it came to humans. "Princess," Leo said politely. "Is there something you need?" Princess Kira reached him, breathing hard from running in her heavy armor. "I need to understand. What you showed us in there, what you said about humans, I need to know if it is all true." Leo studied her face for a moment. Then he nodded toward the observation deck. "Would you like to talk?" They walked together to the observation deck, a large room with transparent walls that looked out into space. The view was breathtaking. Hundreds of ships from different worlds floated around the station like metallic fish in a vast ocean. Beyond them, 3 different suns painted the darkness with red, blue, and yellow light. Leo sat down on one of the viewing benches. Princess Kira hesitated, then sat beside him, her armor making soft clanking sounds. "You want to know if it is all true," Leo said. It was not a question. "Yes," Princess Kira said. "The technology, the power, the way you hide it all. Is that really how humans operate?" Leo looked out at the stars. "What do you know about human history, Princess?" "Very little," she admitted. "Until recently, we did not even know you existed." "Humans have been around for a long time," Leo said. "But for most of our history, we were not the strongest species on our world. We were not the fastest or the biggest or the most dangerous. We survived because we learned to adapt, to think, to work together." Princess Kira listened carefully. This was not what she expected to hear. "We had to compete with creatures that could tear us apart with their bare hands," Leo continued. "We had to survive in environments that could kill us in minutes. We learned very early that the key to survival was not being the strongest. It was being the smartest. But the technology you showed us," Princess Kira said. "That is not just smart. That is beyond anything we have developed." Leo smiled slightly. "That technology exists because of how we learn to survive. You see, when you are always the underdog, you get very good at finding advantages that others miss. You learn to see solutions that stronger races never need to consider." He gestured toward the ships floating outside the observation deck. "Look at those vessels. Valerian ships are fast and powerful, but they are also huge and obvious. Everyone can see them coming from light years away." Princess Kira looked at the golden Valerian fleet, easy to spot among the other ships because of their size and bright coloring. "Now look at the human ships," Leo said. Princess Kira looked again, but she could not see any human vessels. "Where are they?" "Exactly," Leo said. "They are there, but you cannot pick them out from all the others. Human ships are designed to blend in, to look ordinary. An enemy would never know they were facing human technology until it was too late." Princess Kira began to understand. "You make everything look normal so no one knows how dangerous you really are." "We make everything look appropriate for the situation," Leo corrected. "When we need to blend in, we blend in. When we need to look peaceful, we look peaceful. When we need to look weak, we look weak." "But why?" Princess Kira asked. "Why not show your strength like we do? Why not let everyone know how powerful you are?" Leo was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was very serious. "Because power that everyone can see is power that everyone will try to destroy." He turned to look directly at her. "Your empire is strong, Princess. Very strong. But what happens when you encounter a race that is stronger than you are?" Princess Kira had never considered this possibility. The Valerian Empire had always been the strongest force in their part of the galaxy. "We would fight them. And if you could not win?" "We would find a way to win," she said, but her voice was less certain now. "What if there was no way to win?" Leo pressed. "What if they had technology that was centuries ahead of yours? What if they could destroy your entire fleet without effort?" Princess Kira did not answer. She had never imagined such a scenario. "Humans learned long ago that displaying power makes you a target," Leo said. Every strong empire in our galaxy's history has eventually been destroyed by someone stronger. The only way to survive is to make sure no one realizes you are a threat until you choose to reveal it. But that means living a lie, Princess Kira said. Does it? Leo asked. Or does it mean being careful about when and how you use your abilities? He stood up and walked to the transparent wall, looking out at the stars. Humans could have conquered this entire sector of the galaxy decades ago. Our technology is advanced enough to defeat any military force we have encountered. But what would that accomplish? Princess Kira joined him at the window. You would have an empire. You would have power. We would have enemies, Leo said. Every race we conquered would spend every moment plotting revenge. Every world we ruled would hate us. Every generation would bring new rebels and new wars. He pointed to a small, green world visible in the distance. Humans prefer to build relationships. We colonize empty worlds and terraform them into gardens. We trade with other races and share beneficial technology. We help defend weaker civilizations against threats they cannot handle alone. But you get nothing in return, Princess Kira said. Leo smiled. We get everything in return. We get allies instead of enemies. We get trading partners instead of rebels. We get friends instead of subjects. Princess Kira thought about the Valerian Empire. It was true that they ruled through fear. Most of their subject worlds obeyed because they had no choice, not because they wanted to. Rebellions were common, and the empire spent enormous resources crushing them. You are saying that weakness is actually strength, she said slowly. I am saying that appearing weak while being strong gives you options that appearing strong does not, Leo replied. When people think you are weak, they do not fear you. They are willing to negotiate with you, to trade with you, to become your allies. But if they know you could destroy them at any time, they will never trust you. Princess Kira understood now why Leo had walked away from her challenge. Fighting her would have proven human strength, but it would also have made humans look dangerous. It would have turned potential allies into enemies. But what if someone attacks you, she asked. What if they think you are weak and try to conquer you? Leo's expression grew serious. Then they discover very quickly that they made a mistake. The difference is that by the time they learn the truth, it is too late for them to warn anyone else. A chill ran down Princess Kira's spine. She realized that humans were not just more advanced than she had thought. They were more ruthless too. They simply hid their ruthlessness behind a peaceful appearance. Is that what you were planning to do to us? She asked quietly. Leo looked at her for a long moment. Princess, if humans wanted to destroy the Valerian Empire, we would not have come here to negotiate. We would have simply done it. Your fleet would have disappeared, your worlds would have gone silent, and no one would have known what happened until it was over. The casual way he said it made Princess Kira's blood run cold. He was not boasting or threatening. He was simply stating a fact. But we do not want to destroy your empire, Leo continued. We want to understand you. We want to find a way to coexist peacefully. That is why we came here. That is why we revealed our technology to you instead of hiding it. Why? Princess Kira asked. Why tell us the truth now? Because you challenged me to show you what humans are made of, Leo said. I decided it was time for you to see us as we really are. Princess Kira realized something important. You could have kept pretending to be weak. You could have let us think we were superior. Yes, Leo said. But that would not have led to real peace. Real peace requires mutual respect. And respect requires honesty about what each side is capable of. They stood in silence for several minutes, watching the ships move slowly through space. Princess Kira's mind was working furiously, trying to understand all the implications of what she had learned. What happens now? She asked finally. That depends on you and your father, Leo said. We have shown you our true capabilities. The question is what you choose to do with that knowledge. Princess Kira thought about her options. She could return to the conference hall and tell her father to attack the humans before they could become a threat. But she realized now that it was already too late for that. If humans had been hiding their technology for this long, they were certainly prepared for that possibility. Or she could do something that no Valerian princess had ever done before. She could admit that her people were not the strongest force in the galaxy, and try to learn from those who were. I want to go back to the conference hall, she said. I want to convince my father to form a real alliance with your people. Leo smiled. And why would you want to do that? Because I finally understand what real strength looks like, Princess Kira said. And I want to learn from it. They walked back to the conference hall together. Princess Kira's golden armor no longer seemed impressive to her. It seemed loud and obvious, like a child wearing their parents' clothes and pretending to be grown up. When they entered the hall, all the delegates turned to look at them. Emperor Vaxin stood up from his chair, his face showing confusion and concern. Father, Princess Kira said, I need to tell you something important. We need to change our entire approach to dealing with humans. Daughter, what are you talking about? Princess Kira looked around the hall at all the assembled delegates. Then she looked at Leo's scattered armor on the table, still glowing with advanced technology that her people could barely understand. I am talking about the fact that we are not the strongest empire in this galaxy, she said clearly. And I am talking about how lucky we are that the humans prefer peace to conquest. The hall erupted in shocked voices, but Princess Kira continued speaking over them. I propose that the Valerian Empire and humanity form a true alliance. Not based on conquest or submission, but based on mutual respect and shared goals. Emperor Vaxin stared at his daughter in shock. In 19 years, he had never seen her back down from anything. Furthermore, Princess Kira said, I believe we have much to learn from human philosophy and technology. Perhaps it is time for the Valerian Empire to try a different approach to galactic relations. Leo began putting his armor back on, piece by piece. As each component locked into place, Princess Kira watched with new understanding. The armor was not just protection or technology. It was a symbol of human wisdom, the art of being more than you appeared to be. When Leo was fully armored again, he looked just like he had when she first saw him. Crude, primitive, unremarkable. But now Princess Kira knew the truth. She was looking at one of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, disguised as something harmless. And she finally understood that true strength was not about looking powerful. It was about choosing when and how to use the power you had. The alliance between humans and Valorians began that day. It would grow into something that changed the entire galaxy, bringing peace to regions that had known only war for centuries. And it all started because a young princess learned that the most dangerous predator is the one that looks like prey until the moment it chooses to reveal its true nature. Years later, when Princess Kira became empress, she would remember this day as the moment she learned what real leadership looked like. It was not about being feared. It was about being respected. And respect, she learned, could only be earned through wisdom, restraint, and the courage to choose peace even when war would be easier.